Vénganse, vénganse. Vamos a jugar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a cantar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a llorar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a fumar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a jugar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a cantar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a fumar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a tomar hoy, hoy, hoy.
People of the world, we are back. I'm Rickie Lee.
I'm Natalie, and I'm a nervous wreck.
And we're on this frequency. We are back, and we are so happy you guys are joining us for this is our second season, Natalie.
I'm so proud of us.
I'm so proud of us, too, because it took us a minute to get ourselves together to be here, but we're here. So we have a new theme song, and as some of you may know, I come from an incredibly musical family, and I have a cousin of mine in Texas who he sends me music all the time, and he sent me this new song he sent, and I just immediately fell in love, and I sent it to Natalie. I love just the opening chorus, and what got me, because in Spanish he pretty much inviting everyone over and saying vamos a jugar, vamos a bailar, vamos a cantar, vamos a llorar, which is to play, to sing, to cry. And I was like, okay, this is perfect.
It very much lets everyone know who we are.
Exactly. So in our conversations here, we do like to make each other cry. And it's my number one goal always to get Natalie in touch with her tears.
Right. But I'm always the one that pokes the bear and is like, Rickie, I'll say the thing. And then the tears just start flowing. So
yep,
that's who we are.
So
we have great changes that we're excited to share. Just, some of those things that Rickie was just mentioning now. And to add to that, on this frequency, we'll be recording our podcast live every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch. So if you're not already following us, check us out. That link is twitch.tv/on this frequency. And producing our Twitch stream, we have the multi-talented Raymond Andrew from the Rose City Sound team. He's not only an incredible photographer, which he did take our family pictures for Christmas recently. And
all of the Rose City Sound content.
I'm so in love with everything that he does. So he's a photographer and he's also a DJ. He is now on this frequency's third voice behind the scenes. So
welcome, Ray.
What up, y'all? I'm glad to be here. Feel honored to be a part of the group.
I'm really happy that you're here with us.
We're all happy.
I appreciate that.
It's exciting.
You know what's going to be dope is being able to interact with all these people actually on Twitch now. Yes, be able to have actual conversations and highlight what they got going on in the chat. So feel free to chat. Let us know what you want to talk about. So long as it's obviously within the guidelines of what we're talking about.
Yes.
And we'll talk about it, y'all.
Yeah, for sure. And during and after the show, we'll be interacting with the chat and then publishing our show wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Google, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon, and the list goes on and on. We're so grateful to our loyal listeners and the new listeners who downloaded episodes and left us reviews while we've prepared for this season. Thank you seriously, because I think this is a long time coming, and we finally have sat down and listened to everyone that has been begging us for new episodes. So we're here, and there's no coming back or going back.
We're here.
Coming and going. We never know.
Mm-hmm. So this episode was inspired by the contrary stages that Natalie and I have in our lives.
Yeah.
Natalie and my brother had their first baby, so I'm a tia now officially. I have been waiting for this day my whole life, and it is absolutely everything I expected it to be. I love it. And low-key, I was worried that Natalie wasn't gonna let me hang out as much, or that my nephew wasn't gonna like me. I had all these, which goes back to overthinking and negative thinking the worst, right? But
right,
a little boy loves me and I love him, and he's a great little friend of mine.
Oh, we love you.
But so while Natalie has this blooming life, my my life was burning up. It was like falling apart. Just ashes all over the place. Obviously, metaphorically speaking. But I have been in the middle of my home burning down. My relationships with some family members, my love life, my business, my children, my comfort level, like all of my health.
Yeah.
All of it just kind of went up in flames.
Yeah.
Just poof.
No breaks.
No breaks. It was just like continuous, like back to back. I was like, what did I do in this lifetime? Like, what's going on?
What did I do to deserve this?
What did I do to deserve this?
Oh.
But my dear, she's an absolute lifesaver, Amy, LA Amy. We met at Dodger Stadium, but we became really, really good friends. And she knew that I was obsessed with, I'm going to terribly screw his name up, Thich Nhat Hanh. Maybe I did say that right.
I think so.
Yes. So these are the little books that I'm always talking about and reading, and they've just been so helpful. Well, she's like, hey, did you know that they have a How to Fight? I said no. But then I was like, wait a minute, How to Fight?
Yeah.
I fell in love with this book, and to kind of help me through those really, really challenging times, I would literally, word for word, write every page out in my journal because it kind of helped.
Oh.
The
Kinda
panic
release.
attacks, that I was having. And so you're reading it, you're writing it, you're processing it in your head.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of,
Oh, that's interesting that do you do that all the time, or is this a new practice for you?
This is what I just recently realized. When I was a kid and I was punished, I would get in trouble. My dad would make me rewrite novels.
Oh. Oh, fun.
No, I hated it as a kid, but now as an adult, I think I found like comfort in it. And I think I'd never been that like desesperada, that desperate for some kind of consolation or some kind of peace.
I see.
And I also never really knew how to deal with anxiety. So my go-to was, let me just write this word for word so I can calm myself down.
I see.
And move through the next part of whatever it is that I'm moving. So it was a comfort thing. And it helped.
That's an interesting practice.
It did. So Amy was a big lifesaver.
Yeah.
And she gave me this book, and I loved it. But in that book, he says, there's a passage that says, when your house is on fire. And he says, usually when we are angry with someone, we are more interested in fighting with them than taking care of our own feelings. It's like someone whose house is on fire running after the person who set the fire in their house instead of going home to put out the flames.
Yes.
So I'm reading this, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm over here trying to chase after everyone who's burning my house down instead of trying to, like, let me fix what I got to fix at home. Let me try and put this fire out.
Right,
But
right.
until I read it like that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have the water. I'm on fire. Let me put the water on me.
So my focus these last 6 months has literally been putting out my own flames.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so interesting that you mentioned how I'm blooming with life and you're falling apart. I myself had felt, and I guess this is kind of, going away, and as time heals all, right? I don't know that anyone could have prepared me for postpartum, and it's something that's not even talked about, or it's not even a thought, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And so I was very good at preparing for having the child and the experience and the life changes. Right. But no one tells you that shit's going to suck ass. Sorry, excuse my language for anyone that has kids at home. But man, I felt like I had my own house burning up in flames, and I was falling apart and coming together all at the same time. And I guess that's the best way that I can describe my experience the last 6 months, and I guess it's fair. I don't know. I guess I want to just give myself a little hug because it is my first time.
Yeah.
I've never experienced this before. I wouldn't have been able to prepare for the type of experience, and not that the experience was bad or that I was, well, maybe there was depression, anxiety.
Why are you hesitant to say maybe? There is or
there is. I guess there, and here I am still. I guess
Right,
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but maybe the reason why the maybes and the guesses is because, well, what defines that? What defines what in my experience has defined or is the depression, the anxiety, the nervousness, the being frightened, and so on and so forth, right? So anyway, I feel like I'm going in a tangent.
Mm-hmm. So we're both depressed.
But we're depressed. We're anxious. Our life is falling apart. But at the same time, it's coming together. On our podcast break, you and I have had multiple conversations that should have been recorded, but maybe not. And some of the things that I remember mentioning to you is that, these experiences have had to happen to you so that better things can come into your life, or so that you can grow, so that you can learn, so that we can evolve. Mm-hmm. And I have to say the same thing for myself, even though I think that I was maybe in denial, or because I'm in the thick of postpartum, not really being able to process all of that in real time.
Right.
Where now I can sit, reflect, and process and say like, oh shit, you know what? I was going through it, but I didn't have the time or the awareness to realize like, what am I doing with myself? So,
and I think
a lot to look forward to
after like you're coming off of a COVID environment, so I think it kind of amplified a little bit more.
So funny, right? Like we're coming out of a COVID environment, and then we're getting into Mike and I having a baby, and then suddenly Mike decides that he's not going to go back to his job while I'm on maternity leave, right? And then I don't have a job to go back to, and now we're both home all day, every day, and now we have a baby that we have to care for, and now we have to learn how to parent, and then we have to learn each other's parenting styles, and then we have all of these external things, and so that's been the last 6 months, and that exact piece is what I'm saying, that I when I was in it, as I was in it, I wasn't able to realize that all of these big changes were happening, and I wasn't coping well. Or I guess, well, here I am.
You weren't just repeatedly writing words over and over in the book?
You know what I mean? And so here I am losing my head, like, what the hell is happening? But it was all of those things. It's these real big life changes happening all at once. Very different than how they were happening to you, but very much traumatically the same.
I don't feel so alone now.
Yes. We're here together. Yes. We're really living the same lives.
What? I did my best to check in with you every now and then, to make sure, all right, how are you doing? Because it is overwhelming having a baby. No joke. That's not an easy thing. But I was talking with my kids, and I was explaining how, and I didn't really understand what was on your shoulders until you're saying it all right now, and I'm like, well, shit, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Even though I'm always telling you, we're here to support, we got you, whatever you need, it's still really difficult to ask for help. It's still really challenging to
And how does one know, how could I know what kind of support I needed as well? Because that was always, how you're saying, it's difficult to ask for help. And in my eyes, I'm thinking, what help can I need? You are coming over twice a week. Our parents are coming over every week. Everyone's buying us lunch, dinner. We're getting visitors. And so I wasn't able to gauge what the need was. And now I'm starting to all right, let me just figure it out. Let me get back on this podcast and stop bullshitting.
I was terrified to come back on this to record because I don't know. And I've learned a lot in the last 6 months. I haven't read so much before in my life. I've just been consuming books left and right and really kind of just going within and not off social media.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you for that too, because that's something that we had discussed in our last, episodes back.
I feel like I manifested it because we talked about it so much, we should go off. But I wasn't planning on it. It just happened, and I'm
and now you're
mortified to go back because not being on social media has allowed a space, like a real quiet space.
Yeah.
A real quiet space to myself, to my kids, to my family, to my friends. I talk to people differently now, right? I didn't realize how attached I was to my phone, where it's like I'm listening to you, but I'm not really listening to you.
You're not being
because I'm
intentional.
still distracted with my phone, mildly. I'm sure I never really made you feel like I wasn't paying attention to you.
Right.
But I wasn't so much, right?
Well, thanks.
In comparison to now, when I don't have that in front of me, and it's just like you experience people differently.
Yeah.
Very, very differently. And
Yeah.
you almost have to learn this. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but it's almost like I had to learn how to interact with people again. Which doesn't make sense because I'm a social person. I engage with people. I talk with people, no problem. But I realize it's almost kind of like on a surface level. Like, to get the job done, we got to do this, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Because not until now am I realizing, holy shit, it's a lot to connect with a person, with
Right.
like one-on-one.
Do you ever notice, and because I get where you're coming from, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have to engage with people in a completely different way. Now I have to look them in the eyes. Now I
Yes.
have to like
But it
give them
means
the like
something.
the social cues and all of that, right? But now I don't know if you ever notice like how much people, how they're fidgeting, how
Oh, big
distracted
time.
they are, how like, oh, give me a second.
Yeah.
And it's so sad how disconnected we are becoming.
But that's how it is, right? And
Yeah.
so slowly with my 3 kids, I got one already hooked
Yeah.
on like being engaged and talking, and slowly my goal is to get all 3 of them to not be on the phone as much. But you know, I really enjoyed it. I miss a lot of people on social media.
Oh.
There are a lot of people that, you know, I miss looking at their stories. I miss, you know, just connecting with people like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I realized how many people, like you actually start hearing from people who really cared about you, who are like, what's going on? Are you okay?
And those are the gems.
Oh, that was a big eye opener for me. And I
Yeah.
felt so loved, and I felt so appreciated, and I felt just seen.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
hey, this is not just some person I've never met before on Instagram. This is actually
Right.
somebody who has my phone number, contacted me, said wonderful things. Like, they care.
Yeah, you're not only worth
Yeah.
something because of your social media presence.
So it's really removed a lot of pressure from me, because I really had no clue how much pressure was really on me when I was like, I got to be on social media. I got to promote my business. I got to show this. I got to do that. And da-da-da-da. And then you're watching your phone for responses, and who commented this, and who do I need to get back to? And it was just like a whole different, it just added another speed to my already fast life.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you? Okay, so if you still have your phone here, what's the discipline in place for you not to be on social media? Did you delete the app? Did you?
It's all deleted.
Oh.
I mean, so I got to get back on Rose City Sound. I manage that account, and I'm looking for someone to help me manage that. And I'm trying to convince my
Well,
kids to do it.
hey, if y'all are available.
But I had many conversations with Severe leading up to this about, I mean, back in the day we didn't have social media, and I've always been very impressed by what is it called? Not ground level, that kind of grassroots.
Yes,
Grassroots type of promotion, right? Where it's one-on-one, the network of people that you know, the relationships that you have with people, that's what gets you your business, or that gets you your opportunities. I've always been more interested in that than marketing on a grand scale or anything like that. Both are very
beneficial.
But for me, where I'm at in my life, I appreciate more that grassroots type approach. you
Yeah.
know?
And I feel that there might be a bigger, more, just the connection is more fruitful. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because now you know the person, you're getting to know them more intimately. They can get you other resources and connections and things like that.
Yeah. So I really, like I said, I miss a lot of people on there, but I really love what it's done for me personally. Like
Yeah.
I've had to really dive into different types of creative outlets. So I used to say, well, I'm exercising my creativity on Instagram with my stories and what my pictures and what my songs and all that stuff, right? I'm writing a whole hell of a lot more. I started playing the piano again, like working with Legos, which I haven't done since I was a child.
Yeah.
All of those things, just like I said, I went back to a tangible form of creativity versus a digital one.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of us are missing out on that because now we're so reliant and so sure that social media is going to give us the high or the thing that we need to make us happy. But it is the Legos, it is the puzzles, it's the writing, it's the books, it's everything that's not on a computer, on a screen. I can agree that since having the Luca, I'm still on social media, but I entertain it differently. I'm only on there in the morning or at night, or if I'm gonna post about this, and it's very disciplined. I'm not in there mindlessly scrolling through every single, because we can do that. So scroll all day long.
I realized how much time I wasted on social, and I don't mean, like I said, it had its benefits.
Yeah,
right? It really did.
Yeah,
but I remember just waking up some mornings and I would just
start your day scrolling.
Like, oh, who's doing what and what funny things can I laugh at and what conspiracy theory is out there now.
Right.
And I would get stuck there.
Yeah,
so many times throughout the day.
Right.
I'm telling you, it was an adjustment because now I was like,
now my morning starts.
Now my morning starts meditating or exercising or waking up and talking with. I'm telling you, it's just a completely different version of my existence.
Yeah, no, totally the same. And I don't know. Again, like since having the baby too, well, now let's go for walks. Let me go show you what I see. Do you see the trees? Do you see this? And in doing all of that, it's very healing for me as well. And it's made me not rely on social media, like we're saying, to find the joy, to find the happiness. And it's also something that I'm trying to keep in just the way that I'm navigating social media. I don't want it to be a part of my everyday life because kids don't do as you say, they do as you do. So I don't want the little one to be looking at me like, well, you're on your phone. I want a phone. I want to be on it all day. Yep. So I don't want to start off on the wrong foot as far as that's concerned.
I would be terrified as a parent right now if I had a kid.
It's scary. It's heartbreaking. And just to kind of tease this a little bit, I was talking to a friend today before I got here, and she's publishing a book that has everything to do with how social media is impacting K through 12. So the children, and has done her own research as to how they are expressing themselves, the lack of stimulation, and it's really, really sad, and it validates everything that we're saying here, that there's so much more to life, and just in our backyards, there's so much to be entertained by, and we're I guess taking it for granted.
Well, that's why I think I really took everything that went to shit for me. And so now I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Because had all that not happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And really turning that turmoil into gratitude and saying, hey, thanks for showing me a different path. Thanks for, not thank you initially, man. I was in a bad spot.
Well, and hopefully as our episodes, as we record, we'll be able to share more about that experience and those experiences and what we've learned. Yeah, because we've done a lot in the last, I feel like 8 months now. It's only been 6 really, but.
And we always talk about like, where are we going to be a year from now, right? And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, is what we can say with certainty is that every year definitely has been better. Like there's been growth every year, no matter what happened in between, no matter how terrible it was, no matter the disconnects, no matter the doubt, every year we've achieved milestones both on this frequency, Rose City Sound. Like it's a good thing.
I am so proud and happy that you're saying that because and I'm going to have to look through our recordings because or maybe it was just through conversation. There was some interaction that you and I had where I said something to that extent. And I was like, no, it was a good year. And you specifically said, no, 2019 was the best year of my life. And everything before or everything after is hell. And it's horrible. I don't know if it was 2019, but no,
2019 was by far the best year of my life. I loved it. It was the perfect. It's gonna get better for me. Like my goal is to exceed 2019
for sure.
Yeah. But when you have such a great year, and then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why is this wrong? When I turned 40, shit show. I was like, no, this was supposed to be way better. What's happening right now?
Yeah.
So, so the goal is definitely to not repeat 2019, but to have a way better version of 2019.
Yeah. And every year after that.
I forgot. I didn't know I was that on hateration train right there.
Yeah, and I was really like, man, what was happening in 2019? Shit. But I get it because there are years like that, and I mean, I guess that's what keeps us humble, and that's what keeps us balanced. You can't have all the highs without the lows.
Hell no.
Or else there wouldn't be highs.
But you're not thinking about that when you're in the middle of a fucking tornado. You're
so
not
hard.
thinking about that.
It's so
I'm
hard.
telling you, I never cried more ever in my life. Like, and here's the thing. Here's kind of how I got through it too, right?
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? Hold on. I've been through way worse.
Yeah.
I've been through way worse. What am I tripping off of right now?
Yeah.
And it took the heartbreaks that I've had before in my life, and which also came in series. I took all of those experiences, those bad experiences that I had in my life, and that kind of comforted my new turmoil, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like my terrible experiences, my past terrible experiences said, come here, new bad experiences. Yeah. We got you. I got you. It's okay. You've been through worse. Like, it's all good.
Let me pat you here. Let me keep you warm.
I had
Poor
a
thing.
had a lot of talks with myself like a crazy person.
And I think that's why it's important to stay present, reflect and have gratitude.
Yeah.
That's something, and I wanted to start the year off not making resolutions because I felt that resolutions, at least personally, have put a lot of unrealistic pressure and a lot of procrastination that has happened because of the resolutions that I was making for myself year after year. So one of the things that I'm practicing, a resolution, oddly enough, is to stay present, remind myself, stay present, and to breathe through anything. What is it? It's to not react when in the midst of chaos. To let it to process
your emotions.
Yes,
let it ride. Yeah,
feel the feelings.
Know
validate it, all of that, and just kind of give myself. And I know that I sound like a broken record, and I know we've said this in previous episodes, right? In the past, like, give yourself some grace. It's okay, right. But it really is like, you know what? I'm gonna give myself some grace, cause fuck. Right.
I didn't have a New Year's resolution, but in between Christmas, I wanted to. Okay, so in trying to getting my mental health back in line, I really wanted to understand my body a little bit more. And so I was like, you know what? Like I was mentioning my friend Amy earlier today, she was a huge help, and we would encourage one another to exercise and stuff like that. She has a bike and I have a bike. So I'm like, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to do this.
Good.
Moved it into my room, and I was like, I just wanted, for 30 days, can I do something for 30 days straight?
Yeah.
Just
accountability, discipline.
Discipline. Yeah. That's what I wanted to practice, discipline, because discipline is not my strength. And so I did it. So actually, today's my 31st day, which I still haven't gotten on the bike. But
that's all it takes to create a habit, because I'm assuming that that's what you want to.
Ray and I actually had a good conversation about what it takes to create a habit. So, which is a good topic in itself that I want to bring up. But yeah, I did it. And like I said, okay, I guess I did it because I wanted to help lose weight, and then my daughter was like, your body deserves that kind of work. Your muscles deserve that kind of love. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's always the little one with the greatest things.
Yeah, I guess what like we have to shift our mindset with anything that we do, right? Like if we look at exercise, for example, as like, oh, I have to exercise because they're telling me to. But it's like, no, I'm going to exercise because I love me. I love my body.
Do it for your body.
And how you're saying, my body loves me and it deserves to be treated with respect.
I sleep really well.
Yeah?
Like a baby now.
I'm glad that you do. I'm jealous.
Remember my sleepless nights?
I think
and everything?
how the roles have shifted, right?
Oh, yes. I sleep like a baby.
Good for you.
Really good sleep. I sleep really early now.
That sounds like peace.
It is peace. It is. And I like it. And I'm going to protect it at all costs because it took me a long time to get here, to figure out, oh, okay, this is peace. Boom. I got to protect it now.
Listen, people used to think I was wild because, and it's literally a meme on social media, right? Like, oh, I'm canceling plans because I have to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Yes. Sorry. I have to be in bed. I have to get 8 hours because I'm going to be up at 6 and I got to go do this thing. So y'all have fun. I'm going to see it on social media the next day. I'll live through you guys on there, but I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm glad. Sleep is important.
I'm glad too. Well, today's episode was produced live by yours truly, as we mentioned, Raymond Andrew from Rose City Sound, with your host, Natalie, and myself.
Yes.
For inquiries, topic suggestions, and sponsorships, please email us at onthisfrequency@gmail.com.
Yes. On This Frequency is available where all podcasts can be streamed. If you want to buy Rickie and I some coffee because we love it, you can send us your donation at buymeacoffee.com/onthisfrequency. You can also keep in touch with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is simply On This Frequency.
For those of you tuning in on Twitch, we're closing this episode out with your comments and questions right after this.
Yay! Meow.
Now I got to figure out how to do this Twitch thing. Oh, here it is. I found it. Wait.
Hi, Twitch. Or maybe, I don't know. We have comments?
We do have comments, but we have people. Wait, here.
You guys got lots of comments.
Oh, well, thank you everyone that has, first of all, followed us through our entire journey, even before the podcast.
Let's see who we got. We got LA Amy,
Yay!
Vinny Code,
Vinny!
Rebecca Rose, Otto.
Hey.
Everybody's up in here. A. Lerma was in here earlier.
Oh, nice.
She dropped something on there. She said 1 day at a time.
That's the truth. 1 day at a time.
Trill Mota.
Oh my God, Trill. So that's my cousin Luis. Yes, my cousin Luis. If you guys saw the opening or heard the opening song to our episode, it's also going to be our closing song. He wrote that song, and thank you, Luis.
Yes, and Luis, we're gonna have to have you. I know we've been saying this. We have to have you on soon to have a conversation with us about the song, about your life, and everything in between. So.
Yes. And Amy, so your question, what was my favorite quote to the book? I think you're asking about this one, because it's definitely the one about the how to fight. And so this is the book, guys. This he says basically that if your house is on fire, don't focus on the people who put your house on fire. Go back home and put your own fires out. That was the number one thing I got out of this book.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
It does make sense.
You gotta remember to make sure that, like, I think me and Rickie, we've talked about it, like your health, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't do much for anybody unless you're good.
Yes.
Right? So unless you're good, you can't really move on to help anyone else. It doesn't make sense because then instead of being at like 100%, you're like really low. Like your status bar, right? You're not nowhere near closer to being 100. And the more you try to help other people, that status bar just keeps coming down lower and lower. And then it's kind of pointless because then you have nothing left to give.
Your
and then,
battery runs out.
Yeah, you're exhausted. You're on fumes at that point, you know?
And I think for me, helping others was a coping mechanism. That's the other thing that I realized.
Yeah.
Because I would put so much effort into like helping other people and fixing other people, or what can I help you with, and let me do this, and don't worry, I got this.
Yeah.
I realized I was literally why am I doing this? And I just kind of titled it as a coping mechanism. Because once I stopped all that, then I'm like what Ray's saying, I was able to kind of see like, shit, my battery has died, exploded, you name it.
Yeah, now it's time to put the spotlight back on you and take care of you.
Yeah, and then at that point too, when you have exhausted everything, you end up throwing like fits and tantrums, kind of like, and that's kind of like children, right? Like
you lash out when you need a nap.
Yeah, they just get exhausted, and it's like, don't touch me, like
yeah,
like oh man, all right, here we are with it.
Yeah, I would also say to add to this is that you can only give so much to another person that needs the health check, right? Like I've had this is actually currently happening to me, and I won't say to who or how or the experience out because that's their own shit, but someone's coming to me and saying like, my health, and I'm in so much pain, and the doctor and this and that, and it's horrible, and the pain has only gotten worse, and I can't fix it, and my life, and it's been just this horrible health experience that this person is having. And so I'm kind of like, look, I'm maxed out. And what I'm realizing too is that people only have a certain capacity. I was telling my sister this too. I was like, listen, Kelly, there's people that only have a capacity to listen or to give feedback because they're so caught up in their shit, they can't hear you. They're not listening because they don't have the ability to become aware of what you're trying to say.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking to my youngest. She's dealing with something like that, and so am I. So then what do you do?
So what I was telling Mike is like, you know what? I'm at capacity myself, and if so-and-so isn't listening, then I can't do anything. I have to remove myself. I can't, I'm going to just, all right. Mike said something. How can I help? And it's straight up like, that's all it is. Because they're complaining to you. And in the past, you've said, all right, do this, do that. Hey, like, try this. How can I help? What do you want? I'm tired. I'm at capacity.
Sometimes it's that simple, though.
It is that simple. We overcomplicate.
We do. And once you end up doing that, it's like you end up reaching for things that aren't even there. And then you start creating more problems. And it's like, hold on, what are we doing? Like now, especially if you're an overthinker, you start creating more problems.
Yeah.
That you didn't even have before because it's just like, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. And it's just like none of those were problems, but now I'm thinking about them and they might be problems.
Yeah.
And then you're just emptying. You're just emptying out the chamber just a little bit more and more every time you get to it.
Yeah, yeah, and so.
Ray, do you consider yourself an overthinker?
I am in certain aspects. I don't think I'm an overthinker
in general. Like with
in
everything?
General, like if you tell me something, I'm gonna go with it. Like I'll never question anybody, right? Like one of the things I think me and you had this conversation recently was just like, I'm never going to want anything more than the person who wants it.
I love that.
Right. So it's like, if you want it, you could go after it and I'm going to help you. I'm going to hype you up and we're both going to go at it. Right.
Yeah.
But once I can tell like that you're genuinely out of it, I'm just going to back up.
I like that.
Because at the same time, like, why am I going to gas you up?
If you're not gassing yourself up.
Yeah, if you're not gassing yourself up. And it's as simple as like how you're saying, like Mike just asked, like, well, how can I help you? It's that simple of just saying like, I don't have no more to give. And for that person that wants to help you, if they understood it, they would just be like, you know what? I get you. When you're ready, let's go back.
Yeah.
Instead of, because sometimes like I get pushing and motivating each other, but sometimes that becomes tiresome, especially when you don't have anything. Because you're just like, man, stop pushing me. Now you're getting agitated at someone that's trying to help you.
Right.
Because you're just like, I don't want to do this no more. And they're not really listening because they're so caught up in just trying to help you because they don't want to see you in that form, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I've learned recently is just, you know what? I'm just going to meet you where you're at and I'm going to talk less, and everything. There was something that I heard the other day that just resonated. Everything is not that serious. I think I don't know. I'm probably full of shit, but.
Right. So Trill Moda, he says, our job isn't to change their lives. We're there to provide information and different views. It's up to them to take the next step.
Yeah.
Right? And that's hard because sometimes you have to literally see somebody suffer. Mm-hmm. You have to see the ship like just go down, and you're like, I tried to throw you.
Yeah.
You don't want to help. Rebecca, I got some good exercises to send you and Otto with the overthinking thing, because as I mentioned, some of the writing exercises that I did, and also Natalie, the book from Dr. Gabor Mate. What is it called? I can't remember, but that deserves an episode in itself. There's a whole section on overthinking and how to stop your mind from doing that. Oh, it's so great. It's been a huge help. So Rebecca and Jodes, I'll send you guys some information over that'll be very, very helpful.
Without you reading that book, Rickie, what did you think? Like, what was your method prior to reading that book and understanding what it's like?
I don't think I had. That's a great question. I don't think I had a method. I think I would just continue down this. I would just spiral and then find myself something to do. I would just get busy.
So it was like masking it. You would just leave it alone.
100%. And white knuckling through everything, right? Just like, and acting like everything was okay, but just getting in, making myself busy, masking it 100%. And my capacity was up where it's like, I can't mask this anymore. I can't not acknowledge this anymore. This is a real thing. And the only thing, and it kind of, I think what happens is when you're at your max and you don't even know what else to do, it's kind of like you get a clean slate.
Yeah.
Like you have to literally, and I think Alerma said this earlier, go back to basics.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it was like, we were talking about social media, but the going back to basics for me was literally reading this book. And that's how I would stop my panic attacks. I would read it and word for word write it. And that would calm me down. It was like a meditative thing. And I would not stop writing until I calmed myself down.
I think with a lot of things, it's always that. Just go back to basics.
Yeah.
Like sports, right? Like sometimes some athletes are so good that they overcomplicate what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bro, all you got to do is go back to the basics, you
right.
know? But then, so after you, so that was like your thought process prior to reading the book, right? What while reading that book and figuring things out, did you realize that other people that were trying to help you, did you ever see anything like, oh, dang, what he's talking about here, this person was actually trying to help me with?
Yes.
In that same aspect.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I realized that when people were trying to help me or give me advice or insight, I was just not in the space to take it in. I was not in the space to really hear the person. You were saying earlier how someone's over capacity and you're talking to them, but they're not taking anything in. They're not really listening because there's nothing there. They have no space.
Right.
So that's where I was, where if somebody was trying to help me, I wasn't listening and I wasn't taking it in because I couldn't. And so it took that for me to wipe and reboot myself in order to just to be able to start listening to myself.
So initially you just had a crash.
Yes.
You had a crash in order to reboot.
Correct.
Whoa, that's very extreme too.
It was. It was extreme.
Like you will take yourself all the way.
That's the only way like actual change will happen though,
Correct.
right? Like
that's
things
true.
have to be done in extreme measures in order for you to realize like something has to change, because comfort isn't extreme. Comfort is just like you're going through the motions.
Mm-hmm. That was really good. I had to crash. I crashed and burned.
Yeah.
I crashed and burned. And I also, in addition to that, and I was mentioning, I think I told you too, it's been 22 years nonstop. Nonstop. The minute I pushed out my first kid, it was like nonstop to provide, work, do this, help others, build your career.
Yeah.
There was no stopping.
Right.
I was going at 150 miles an hour for the last 22 years. And the last 5 years, just burned myself out.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. Go hard or go home. I'm 40. I have my goals. I want to be able to reap the benefits of all of my hard work. Ni madres. There was a completely different plan for me, which I'm glad it was this.
Yeah. Have you, so in your whole like going since you've had your first child, what were you trying to prove? What was that? What was that about?
I told my mom this the other day because I told my mom, I said, you know what, Mom, for the first time in my life, I feel safe in your space. Because my mom was always trying to, and I didn't really know that I had it in me, right? But I never wanted my mom to say, you can't, look, you didn't do this. Look, you didn't do that. Look, you didn't provide. I always want to be like, look, Mom, here, look, I did this. Here's that. Don't ask me for anything because I already covered you for it, you know? Yeah. That's a lot of pressure because I got to a point where I really needed my mom's help. Yeah. I really need your help as an adult right now. I'm sorry, but I really need your help. Yeah. And she gave it to me. She still had she would throw in her little jabs here and there.
Right. We're human. But you're her child.
I'm her child. But she, yeah, I appreciate my mom right
Those
now.
jabs are just humbleness. Like, she had to humble you.
There you go.
Those are like, hey.
Go.
But down. See, we have this notion that because we're adults that we have to be at a certain level. Those expectations. Yes. Me and Natalie talk about expectations all the time. Oh, right. Like, so if you you have such high expectations for yourself, but you're gonna be more bummed out when you don't achieve it. Yeah, you don't get to them because, and especially more so because it's you. You're like, man, I've done everything, and now I'm here. I'm bucking everything up. You know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all have to be comfortable with asking for help. And I say that because I don't like asking for help, but I'll exhaust every avenue that I need to before I ask for help. You know, and sometimes there's times where I'm like stubborn enough to be like, man, I ain't gonna ask for help, and I just keep going at the same thing over and over, and it's just like, ugh. And usually it's like my mom at the end of the day.
It's always the mom.
It's always the mom, right? Yep. My mom's just like. And one thing my mom's always said, so I don't know who believes in what, but there's always a higher up, right?
Yeah.
And my mom would always say that sometimes God is just letting you know that you're not going in that path that you're supposed to be going in.
Yes.
And you're trying to do it your way. And your way is not always the right way. So he has to put something up there. It's either going to be like extreme. It's going to be subtle. It might be a small bump. But it's something to catch you and be like, oh, okay. Here we go now, you know?
You'll repeat the cycle until you learn the lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? Going back to the expectations, it just clicked for me. Like, and I'm so glad we're having this discussion because it literally just clicked for me. I'm the oldest grandchild of like 30-something. I don't know how many grandkids my grandparents have now. I was a young mother. There was a lot of expectations on me that I would hear from my family. You should have done this. You should have done that. You should have this, that, and the other. I do consider myself a successful person on every level. For sure. I've done some incredible things while raising my family as a single parent. Yeah. Incredible things. So I think in my head, this still isn't good enough. You still got to do more. You still have to prove to your family. You still have to be an example. You're still number one, meaning not number one as the grand. I talk a lot of shit to my cousins about being the first grandkids, but because I had a lot of pressure. Everybody's watching you.
You're going to set the example.
You're going to set the example. So right until we talked about expectations, did it occur to me, shit, well, you've also been going because you feel you have something to prove because people didn't like what you did early on in your life and thought, wrote you off. Yeah. But nah, look what I did. But it goes back to, and Amy's talking about being vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. In the time that I took for myself, I took that vulnerability to accept it's okay. Like, you've done what you've done in your life. You're good. If I don't do anything else, spectacular, big, or significant, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that because
I am enough. What I have done is enough. And it's for me, and it has gotten me to this point, and I've excelled and succeeded and cried and laughed and had heartache.
Hey, I cry less now.
I cry more now.
Shit.
So if you cry less, does that mean the less that you're crying, it's more meaningful? And for you, since you didn't really cry, it's all because you could cry a lot and it's meaningful, and then you could cry a lot and it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
So when you cry, Natalie, is it like meaningful cries, or is it just enjoying the smallest things?
Both. It's definitely I cry at everything that feels
So weird.
special, that feels like a lot, that's happy, that's sad. I'm crying about everything these days.
You want to cry right
good,
now?
though.
I'm holding in the tears right now.
That's good though, because at sometimes what we try to fight is really just an emotion that we're afraid of later on in life, right?
Or that
Yes.
for me, that we've been conditioned to suppress, or the reason that I cry more now and had cried less before was because I did not have people in my life, women specifically, that cried or that allowed there to be feelings or emotions to be displayed for everyone to see.
It was
right?
all behind like closed doors.
Yeah. They'll tell you about it, or you can probably hear it, but no one's crying in my family to your face, or there is no vulnerability. And so now, because I have Rickie, because I have, all of this inner work that I have done and that I continue to do, it is okay to cry. I'm still not gonna I'm still fighting the tears, right? Because that's just conditioning. But my crying is more intentional and more graceful. I'll say that it's more graceful. I'm allowing it.
I always go back to saying that crying is the soul's orgasm. You gotta let your soul cry.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be an orgasm, or it could just be that
True.
you scared yourself into peeing out your eyes.
You're not wrong.
Listen, crying is important, and I forget how. Here's what you always got to remember: how good you'll feel after you cry. I had one of the terrible, saddest cries, like when you're on the floor in the bathroom and you're like, and you're sobbing and you're bajando todos los santos. You're praying like, why?
Yeah.
It was so bad, barely even being able to breathe. But then after, it was like,
yeah. I feel good. Let's move on now. Let's go have a party. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a release. It's release.
It's a release, but even then,
it's a healthy release.
It is a healthy release, but like what Ray is saying, sometimes we fear those emotions. We fear having to connect with whatever it is that got us crying, that is making us try and cry in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that. But what else is going on in the comments?
I like that. Anita says, vulnerability is hard when a person problem solves from a young age in their mind. That's where I can do it myself attitude comes in. 100%. I can do it myself. No, we can't.
Yeah.
We do need help. We do need love. We do need support.
Yeah.
Clean your eyes out.
and this is where the water works. You see your inner child, and you see the little girl like trying to hold it all together and being strong and trying to show that they're brave and that they're going to exceed all the expectations and that they don't need nobody, and look at me and I got it, and I'm going to do this because I got to prove it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's like
I just want to hold her.
That's a societal thing? Like just the way we are now. Like everything's so modern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. Like, obviously we don't have stay-at-home moms like that, where it's like I always wondered if the women back in those days that just stayed home, if they ever thought that.
If they thought what?
Like, I'm not good enough, or I didn't do enough with my life.
Oof. Oh, hell yeah. I think a lot of women thought that. That's why a lot of women were depressed and then clinically drugged by all kinds of different... Oh, I 100% believe that.
Do you think it's worse now than it was then? Because of now, like, the society pressure of like Natalie said, like, you got to be a strong woman.
Yeah.
You can't show that vulnerability.
Yeah. I do think that it's worse now.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because now the modern woman has her children because that's the expectation, but then she's also expected to have her career, and she has those expectations at work now, and the pressure and the passive aggressiveness that she has to deal with by her, and I'll just keep it neutral, right, or in general, by her her employees or the people that she works with. And then she has the pressures at home to be able to provide and you know, look good and cook good and be the best mom that she can be to her kids and to her parents and to her children, like, and the list goes on and on and on. And I'm sure also I want to be inclusive, because I think, and I want to highlight that men also go through this, and that's the suppressing that we do too.
They do?
In the opposite way. You don't, don't you think?
There she goes.
Because I feel like men can have all of those things too.
I think what happens is it becomes a mixture of wanting a traditional lifestyle and a modern lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like the traditional lifestyle that we look back to, obviously before now, right, would be like the men work, the women stay home, cook, clean.
Okay, low key, sometimes I would want a traditional life.
But then you start messing with yourself.
Right.
As an overthinker, you start like, man, well, what else am I going to do with my life? Because my wife has asked that too, and I've told her like, hey, you don't have to go to work if you don't want to. That's not me saying, like,
be a bum.
Keep your ass in the kitchen, woman. You know, it's not saying that, but it's just like, I feel like everybody's purpose is different.
Yeah.
And if after so many attempts of something, trying to live up to society's norm today doesn't work, kind of like what Anita was saying, like, just go back to the basics.
Yes.
Maybe you are meant to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe your calling was to just be a great mother.
Yeah.
Ooh, right, because you're 100% right, because you can't wrap being a great mother just in being a stay-at-home mom or with those traditional roles. I do think, though, I do believe that if I would have had just a little bit of support, I don't think I would be as cold. When I mean like cold, like I don't hug my kids enough, or I don't like tell them that I love them enough, and I'm not an affectionate mom. And I think it's just because, like, just over time you just get like tired, and like you can't access
that capacity that you have.
Yeah, you can't access that tender part of you that you used to have to love and care, and that discipline like went away. That's tough to say and acknowledge.
We become so jaded.
Yeah. But having that awareness also, I mean, I'm actively trying to change that with my kids, you know, and be, like I said, I'm a lot more present now, but telling them that I love them and hugging them and giving them that affection. We all need that.
Yeah. I swear we have to have, this is like a whole episode in itself, right? This very topic, with everything that we're saying. So I've been at home the last 6 months, right? And I do feel that the childhood experience, the family experience is so much different. And and just for a little bit of context, right? I don't have anyone in my family that I've seen, and well, maybe I'll take this back, because there are women in my family that are stay-at-home moms. But because my mom wasn't a stay-at-home mom, I have no idea what the world of not working is like, right? Until the last couple of months. And now, like, and I feel like everything's clicking, right? The experience that a child can get from a parent being home to raise them, the love, the support, the opportunity, the resources, the kind of like, the sky is the limit in a sense, so long as you can find the ways, right? And not to say that being a working mom is wrong, but it is different, and there are, I guess, the benefits are different whether you go one way or the other way, but there's always going to be pressure for both.
I don't disagree with you. You're 100% right. I don't know, and I say that I wouldn't mind a traditional relationship like where I didn't have to go to.
Yeah.
I say that, but I'm a creative person.
You want to do.
I'm naturally like that where I want to get out and I want to go. Mm-hmm. It's just finding a balance. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. And honoring yourself and in what you do and what you don't know about yourself. Yeah. Because you don't know, like I said, you're 6 months into being a stay-at-home mom. That might change.
Right.
You might be like, all right, cool. I'm good with this.
Right.
I need a little time. It's just give yourself an opportunity to learn who you are.
Right.
And what kind of mom you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Be open to change, be open to try new things, be open to change your mind. I think that has also been something really big for me recently is being okay with changing your mind or my mind, and also just acknowledging that, all right, if you said X, Y, and Z, it's okay that now it's going to be X, Y, and Z and then the A and the B. Mm-hmm. It's all right to add in. It's all right to
things
remove.
Things can be out of order.
Yeah.
And it's okay to let it be today, X, Y, Z, and tomorrow's A, B, C.
Right.
Like that's one thing that I've always stressed on my wife.
Yeah.
Like when she was going to school, she was just like just the anxiety of going to college, right?
Yeah.
And then when you finish, and it's like, well, am I even gonna do what I went to school for?
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
And one thing I always told her, I said, well, what does it matter? Mm-hmm. Well, because other people are. And one thing I always tell, and it might seem machismo, so please, anyone that's on the chat, don't be upset with me. But as your husband, if I don't give a shit whether you go to work and do something that you went to school for, why does it matter for anybody else?
Oh, I see.
You get what I'm saying? So I guess my machismo isn't in the sense of I'm the man.
Yeah.
But I don't consider myself like I'm the man, right? I'm your husband.
Lowercase t.
Right?
Not all caps.
Yeah.
I'm your husband. And at the end of the day, what we strive for is to do what we're doing for our family. And at the end of the day, who do we go home to? We go home to our wife, we go home to our husbands, we go home to our kids.
We go home to ourselves.
And if you walk into that house and you don't see those children or that significant other questioning your moves, why should it matter to the people that are outside of your house? Right? Why do you take validation out of what other people who aren't in your home
right
in a consideration? You know, like I've just always said that it's like there's people that could go to school and get like the best degree in anything in today's world, what's today's like degree? Like back in the 80s, everybody needed a business degree.
Business administration.
I think it's still business.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is because they're afraid to let people know that you could actually be creative.
I don't disagree with that. That's
Ray,
100% true.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
I think technically,
Ray, no.
That's why he's
because at the end, so I think everybody has some type of creative side, right?
Hell yeah.
And I think that's what the balance is. And again, back to me and my wife, when she wants to do something, I'm the type of person like, oh, let's do it then.
Yes.
Like if you want to get into making this or making that, then let's do it. Why not? There's no reason why we can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to become monetary. And I think in today's world, everything needs to become monetary.
Yes.
So when people in the generation before us ask us questions, oh, well, do you make good money? That's always like the first fucking question.
How much does it pay?
Like, oh, how much? Like, what does it matter?
Right.
I'm happy.
Are you getting a 401k?
Right? No, I don't have a 401k, but my blood pressure is pretty low.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Dang, well, this was all really, really good.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone who hung out with us. And then like
The chat?
the after chat.
Yeah, it's fun. It's more intimate.
Like the after show,
The
huh?
after chat.
That's
I
dope.
think this might be a thing.
Yeah, I like it. Let us know if you guys liked it, if you guys want more, what you guys are excited about here on Twitch.
Alerma is suggesting that we watch a show called Parent Test on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a show.
Parent
so
test.
that's
We got
something else.
homework from the chatters.
Yes, we have homework.
Okay.
And then Amy's affirming that it's huge figuring out who we are in society. Yeah. Amen. Yes. Yes to all of that. So next Friday we'll be back.
Yes.
6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
6
Yeah.
o'clock.
The three of us here on Twitch. Thank you. Vinny, there you... Did you just hear me yell Vinny? That's how I yell. And so Vinny is a frequent... What am I trying to say? Frequent
Listener? Viewer?
Yeah, because he's on Ray's stream, Severe stream.
Supporter?
Supporter. Yes.
Supporter.
And
Supporter.
every time I see Vinny on there, I type out in all caps, Vinny. And every time I do, I'm saying it out loud and I'm texting, Vinny!
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Here,
one thing for sure is Mota types and writes exactly how she speaks.
Yes.
So if you know her and you've encountered her in person and you
can
ever
hear
get
how
an actual message,
You can hear it.
I could read her emails. I'm like, oh, she was really excited right there.
Yes, 100%.
I agree.
I'm going to do a drop for Ray, just me yelling Vinny. That's like, oh, Vinny.
Yeah, we need that.
So thank you so much, you guys. Again, we'll see you next Friday. We appreciate all of you. All of you.
Yes. Be well, y'all.
Vénganse, vénganse. Vamos a jugar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a cantar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a llorar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a fumar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a jugar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a cantar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a fumar hoy, hoy, hoy. Vamos a tomar hoy, hoy, hoy.